The biggest design flaw in the Victron lithium-ion battery product line is the lack of a heater for the lithium-ion modules or cells. So today we're going to install a 120 volt outlet that we can connect to some seed mat heaters that are thermostatically controlled so that we can keep our batteries warm in the winter so that they keep working for us. I have two DC heaters for the batteries, but they don't have the same level of control or output, and I'm not consistently keeping my batteries warm. And if your batteries get cold, your system will not work. Your batteries won't charge and they won't send power out. So keeping them warm in the winter is a high priority, and it's worth having a redundant system, which is why I'm installing this outlet so that I have both a DC charging system and an AC charging system for my batteries, thermostatically controlled. Okay, so this outlet, I'm just making a branch circuit off the outlet that's next to it on the exterior of this electrical box. And I'm going to move the Starlink 48 volt, 12 volts converter up to make space for the faceplate. And this one's also got a USB-C charging space for it and a USB-A charging space for it. So it should work well for us. I'm using marine grade wire, and of course all my circuits are off while I'm doing this. And with my handy dandy Wagyu connectors, I should be able to just clip everything together, easy peasy, and get this 10 gauge wire connected. At least that's what I thought going in. But it looks like my runs were a little small, so I had to splice in some connectors. And so found myself doing this again. The other thing I will note is that ferrules aren't, well, they just don't work well on the type of outlet I'm using, so I'm not using them. Ferrules are good for some things, but not everything. Okay, so now that we've patched in some extensions on this exterior outlet, and we continue to learn that everything takes longer than you think it's going to take when you're building a van or you have ADHD or both. We're just continuing to play electrician here and get our negative conductors together, positive conductors together, and then our ground conductors together with our Wagyu clips. Thank goodness for Wagyu clips, because they really do make things easy. Alright, once everything's done, we're going to add some insulating material, and that's going to be the form of electrical tape that is color matched to the color of wire we're using. It's always good when you can do that, and just get everything as buttoned up and clean as we can with our zip ties and our wire connectors. Now we're ready to turn our power back on at the breaker from this sub panel and then test it with our handy dandy multimeter. I hired an electrician once, and this was the multimeter they had, so it was the one I bought. And if you keep that positive probe connected to the multimeter itself, you're a little more protected from things like shock or arc flash, which if you want to have a scary time, just Google arc flash in Google and read up on that. Electricity's scary and dangerous, so truth be told, if you're watching this, you should be hiring a licensed electrician to do all this work. You can't die from an electric shock if you pay someone else to do the work or get injured. They take on that risk and that liability. Okay, so we're fighting to get our probes in. This brand new outlet, it's got these like special covers over the fronts. And then once we do get those in and switch to the right setting, we can see we got 121 volts, which is 1 volt higher than we want, but within the range of specifications, and we are good to go. Forward with our outlet tester, which has the right light pattern, and now we have our heaters plugged in, both of them. So we are ready to test this, and I can tell you that it worked well. I got a set point on this thermostatic gauge at 60, well, it's reading 62.F right now. I can't remember the exact set point, but it won't turn off if it's like less than 50 degrees off the top of my head. So that first mat goes under the batteries there, and each battery has a temperature gauge on the outside, which only goes down to 61. So if we're not reading there, that's not good. There's a mat there, and then those other 2 wires are for the DC heater there. So 3 heaters. And then I got some Amazon cutting boards, flexible ones, to just insulate the top of my batteries so that if my hand's up there, I'm not going to touch those terminals and risk putting myself in that circuit. Handy dandy zip ties are keeping everything clean with the battery management system modules. And we have designed our way into a battery heating system that is redundant, both AC, DC, and should keep these guys heated in the winter. Now, I live in a valley. I don't get a lot of sun, so shore power is just part of the game. And you shouldn't be afraid of that. Some people, that may mean you're using a generator in the winter when you don't have sun, if you're above the equator or south of the equator, particularly if you're above the Arctic Circle or the South Pole. Okay, core concept's the same though. If you're using lithium battery chemistry, it doesn't do well in cold. Chances are your battery management system won't let it send or receive power when they're cold, so you got to keep them warm. Okay, in any case, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you around.